Hey, I'm Podcast Nate, and I'm inviting you to join the podcast revolution. I took my first podcast, The Sobriety Diaries, from launch to the top 3% globally in the first 90 days, and I've created a simple framework to help you achieve the same. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking for an additional stream of revenue or a creator expanding your platform, let's revolutionize your world one episode at a time. Hey, let's jump right in. So Mary sent me a DM and said, what equipment should I start with? I'm getting ready to purchase my gear and start a show, and I'm completely overwhelmed. Well, Mary, I'm going to give you the quick hit and break it down for you. Obviously, we need a microphone. Invest in a good quality microphone to ensure clear and professional audio. USB microphones are always the easiest for beginners. Most of them are plug and play. Plug it right into your computer, download your recording software, you're ready to go. Audio-Technica has a great version, the ATR 2100. My personal favorite, and what you're listening to right now, is the Samsung Q2U. It has USB capabilities, but in the future, when you're ready to upgrade, you can also plug it in XLR. So that's my personal recommendation. My baby, the Samsung Q2U. I recommend having headphones. Obviously, you need them if it is a dual hosted show or if you're having guests. But even if you're just by yourself, I recommend headphones so you can hear your own voice. You can check your levels. It just kind of makes you a little more professional. Really, any earbuds or headphones are good enough. You know, the microphone is more important than the headphones. Choose some that are comfortable for your head. Again, Audio-Technica has great gear. Their ATH M50X, I think they're called, headphones, cheap. They're studio grade, so they're professional. They look kind of cool too. Sony has a cool pair. I think the MDR 75. Honestly, I just have my standard issue Apple earbuds in right now. So whatever suits you as far as headphones. I recommend having a pop filter or a wind muff, sort of the spongy thing that you put on top of your microphone. That's going to prevent any harsh sounds. We call those plosives in the podcasting world. Any hard P's or B's, it's going to prevent that. And especially as you're learning the ins and outs of your microphone and the way that it picks up your voice, it's going to be super helpful. So definitely grab a pop filter. They're super inexpensive. And other than those three things, I don't recommend investing a crap ton of money until you find your way in podcasting and settle in and make sure that it's right for you. So a microphone, a pop filter, and some headphones. There are great recording and editing softwares out there that are free. The content is more important than the equipment, although audio is king with podcasting, so you gotta sound good. Mary, I hope that helps. Thanks so much for the question. Let's move on to Phoebe. Phoebe commented on one of my posts and said, what is the right episode length? Oh, Phoebe, what a loaded question. And honestly, I wish there was a textbook answer for it, Phoebe, but there really isn't. The perfect episode length is however long it takes to convey your message. So there are a lot of things that factor into it. Is it a guest-driven interview show? Is it a solo cast, as I like to call them? How frequently are you releasing episodes? What level of engagement are you getting from your audience? So there are a lot of things that factor in to my answer and to finding the perfect length for your show. And that's just it. It's going to be personalized for your show. I will say on my other podcast, the Sobriety Diaries, I've found that really the perfect length is anywhere from like 28 to 33 minutes. Those episodes are easily digestible. Most of America has about a 20 to 30 minute commute to work. It could be the perfect length for a dog walk and going to the dog park, a shower. So you don't want it to be overly full of dialogue and ramblings. You want it to be easily digestible. You want to make sure you have time to clearly convey your message and include everything that you want to say and wrap it up. No need to tease things 3 or 4 times. Get to the point, convey your message, and move on. Phoebe, thank you so much for the question. I hope that helps. Hey, want to start a podcast? Spotify has a platform that allows you to create one so easily you won't believe it. And the best part, it's totally free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to record, edit, and distribute your episodes right from your phone or computer. You can also add songs from Spotify's library, edit with cool transitions, and then hear your show on all the big networks, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. You can also earn money through ads and subscriptions. And once again, for those in the back, it's completely free with no catch. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Joseph DM'd me this question: how long does it take to produce one episode? Well, Joseph, my friend, I am not proud to say that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I really pay close attention to the detail of my audio. Listen, podcasting is an audio platform, right? Audio is king, and I like to make sure that there's a rich sound to my voice, that there aren't plosives, as we say in the podcasting industry, that there aren't any mixes in the volume of my voice. So to answer your question, one episode of the podcast forecast, which is about 25 minutes, typically takes about 3 hours in production. Now, that's total for me. So that's my research. That's putting together bullet points for my script. I don't necessarily script every word that I'm going to say, but I do come with a list of bullet points that I want to cover. So that's start to finish, doing my research, pre-production, putting my bullet points together, sitting down and filming. Now, if I come prepared, I can usually spit it out, 25 minutes in about 40 minutes to an hour, and then go upstairs to my editing bay with the raw footage. So when I take the raw footage, then I sit down, I'm listening to the minute details of the audio recording. I also video everything. That is a huge recommendation to my clients and to you listening. Video everything. Even if you're not doing a video podcast per se, you can take those clips for social media. You can pull quotes. You can pull little teasers here and there. You can put together a demo reel. Video everything, even if you aren't fully producing a video podcast. So I take the raw footage, I pull clips, I'm putting together teasers for social media, I'm finalizing the full audio episode with particular attention being paid to the audio quality, and then uploading everything to my distribution platform, which we'll talk about here in the next question. So start to finish, 3 hours for a 25-minute episode. I think that's typical. I think I hate to imagine Joe Rogan's 3-hour episodes, although I think he's mostly like live to air. So he's done it for so long and has thousands of episodes. So I think they literally just sit down, connect to Spotify, and then his episodes are out in the universe. So for 25 minutes, it takes me 3 hours. Joseph, I hope that answers your question. Thanks for submitting your question, my dude. Micah DM'd me on Instagram and he asks, how do I get on Apple Podcasts and Spotify? Well, Micah, it's probably easier than you think. So when you are distributing your podcast, there are several different distribution platforms to choose from. Personally, I use Anchor, which is now called Spotify for podcasters. Anchor was always owned by Spotify. They've kind of merged even more. So Spotify for podcasters is a free distribution platform. So after you produce and edit and have your final audio, you simply upload the MP3 file to Spotify or Buzzsprout or any of these other distribution platforms, and it literally shoots your show out to all of the big networks. So Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Now you can choose which ones that you would like to be featured on, or you can register on all of these different platforms and your show will be distributed to them all. So podcasts are distributed by what's called an RSS feed. So it's like a live feed to all of these different networks. So if after you upload your episode, you want to change something or edit your show notes or edit the audio, by distributing podcasts through an RSS feed, that allows you to do it. So it's uploading it on a regular basis. That's also the way that artists on Spotify are able to upload their digital albums. So Taylor Swift is notorious for doing this. She always changes the album covers or the cover art to her singles, or she's even edited audio of her streaming music. And it's distributed through this sort of live feed, and podcasts use an RSS feed. So I always recommend Spotify for podcasters. Sponsored, you'll hear an ad for that as well during the show, but it truly is, in my opinion, the best platform. It's free. It offers you the capability to use any song in Spotify's library. It offers you cool audio transitions. You can edit right in the platform. You can distribute your show right from your phone or computer. And again, it's free. It's so easy. Totally recommend Spotify for podcasters. But Micah, thank you for the question. Again, it's easier than you think. Choose a distribution platform, upload your show. The rest is history. Thanks for the question, Micah. Let me know if you need any additional direction on creating your profile or uploading your audio. I'd be happy to help. The big money question from Drew. Drew sent me an email at nate@podcastnate.com. Drew says, can you make money podcasting? The $1 million question, literally. Well, Drew, I think it's a complicated answer. I mean, technically, yes, the answer is you can make money podcasting, but I don't think it's as simple as a yes. So unless you're Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn, I don't think just talking and uploading episodes will earn you a paycheck. I think the money comes a little later when you have an established audience and you can create partnerships and brand deals and sponsorships. When you have an established audience and there are brands or businesses that sort of correlate with your show or your theme or your topic, and that they'd be interested in advertising on your show because your audience, are potential customers or likely customers based on the demographic of your audience. So again, unless you have an audience literally of millions, you get a very small, literally cents per download. much like, the creator fund on TikTok. It's like a 2 cents per view or something like that. So uploading episodes and simply having a podcast isn't going to generate an income that will support your livelihood, but the potential income, again, will come after you have an established audience and you can pitch your show to these brands and these companies as a way for them to advertise. And, that partnership can hopefully generate a paycheck. So let's move on. Our last question comes from Nicole. Nicole sent me an email to nate@podcastnate.com and said, "Hey, Nate, I am launching a podcast surrounding mental health, and I'm doing guest interviews every other episode." Great idea. I love a 50-50 sort of split, by the way. Nicole says, "I'm having trouble finding guests to come on the show. It is a vulnerable topic. I've put out a call to action on social media and only got one response. Any suggestions?" Nicole, I feel your pain. My first podcast was recovery and sobriety related. Also a vulnerable topic, not necessarily something that people are jumping in line to discuss publicly. I will say that I found it helpful to include myself in several online groups relating to that topic and not necessarily jumping into a group and trying to promote the show, or jumping into a group and my first post being, "Hey, who wants to come on my podcast?" But integrating myself within the group and participating with the community, not pitching myself or pitching the show. Once you start to get to know people and discuss the fact that you do have a podcast, most times people will be curious and inquire, or perhaps volunteer themselves up as a guest or ask if you need people. I talked a lot about defining your ideal guest in episode 1 and 2 of the podcast forecast. Check those out if you haven't listened yet. But defining that listener, or identifying who you're speaking to, giving them a face and personality traits will really help you to identify what online communities to insert yourself into and really engage and really participate within those communities. And again, not jumping in and pitching yourself right away. Leverage your current network, of course, but again, make it more about the engagement and the participation and not an immediate call to action. I would also use guest referrals. So the one person that did respond, see if they have any close friends or like-minded individuals who would be willing to come on the show. And lastly, I will say that there are some podcast directories and guest booking platforms out there. I think there are several free ones. You could always enroll yourself in those programs or post on those sites that are expecting a specific call to action or a specific sort of guest matching with podcast shows. I think Listen Notes has that service and they're a great platform. So I would suggest setting up a profile on Listen Notes and seeing how that goes. Good luck, Nicole. I hope that helps. I will say, if you jump on Instagram and head over to the Sobriety Diaries pod, there are amazing individuals in that community, and many of them have experience with mental health struggles, conquering mental health issues, and they are a wildly supportive group. So go check them out. Thank you so much, friends, for downloading today's episode. Stay tuned every Tuesday for new episodes highlighting the hottest equipment, production and editing tips, launching your show, pitching to sponsors, so much more. Everything you need that's involved in launching and monetizing a successful podcast. Subscribe to the Podcast Revolution now so you never miss an upload. Again, every Tuesday. Hit that follow button on Instagram at PodcastNate to submit your own questions on podcasting and to catch the latest updates on the show. Remember, friends, it's never too late to find your voice and use it. And let's revolutionize your world one episode at a time. Bye for now, friends.